call this meeting to order of the Board of Trustees for the Village of Cambridge, our meeting of February 25th, 2025. Roll call, please.
Trustee Brennig.
Here.
Franklin is excused. Blackwood.
Here.
Hollenbeck.
Here.
Recklow.
Here.
McNally.
Here. All right. If we can stand, please, and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Lisa, can you give us a status on the posting of this meeting?
The agenda was posted in the upper and lower levels of the Amundsen Community Center, the Cambridge Post Office, Badger Bank, and the village website.
All right, move on. Public comment. Is there anything that anybody would like to talk about? I see the paper, and I see your engineering. And Chris, that's kind of leaves you. You're just shaking your head.
Just here.
Boy, you're hard up for material on Tuesday night. Okay, all right, I'm going to close public comment.
That is learning.
Yes. All right, moving on. Approval of the consent agenda, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second. Do we have any concerns or issues on the consent agenda? Looks good. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right. Moving on to reports. I've got a couple things. Number one, if we can pass on to our Public Works, I received 2 compliments about the snow plowing after the last snow. Now, it's like, I can't believe that it was on my agenda, or on my discussion, and coming here tonight, it's 51 degrees, so
Yeah.
it's hard to believe we had a snowfall, but we did, and the guys took good care of that and plowing the streets, and so, yes, I wanted to pass that on. Number 2, this last week, I had a chance to stop in at our food bank, not our food bank, but our senior meal program, and I talked with Dawn Fleury, and just to see how we were doing with that. I think, Paula, what is the budget on our senior meals? Is that between 20 and 25,000?
I thought it was like around 25,000.
Yeah, that's
That's
what
with social work as well.
okay.
Yeah.
There were, I don't know, 9 people. I guess 10 make it regularly, and then there are another 10 that come through, but they don't stay for the meal. They just pick up. I asked how our coordinator is doing, and she's friendly. She's very good, Dawn Fleury. The food tasting is good. The dining is good. I gave you the attendance. As far as the menu itself, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but just as an example, for March, they're going to have creamy potato and bacon soup, dinner, roll, butter, cucumber, salad, assorted dressings, sliced peaches, and then there's broccoli and wafers and Caesar salad dressing, and everybody really enjoys it. So I know it's not much, but it is something that we support, and I happen to be talking with them.
Their meals do have to meet all federal guidelines for the meals, so they're strictly planned.
And Mark, you're a senior, so did you partake as well?
Yeah. I was waiting to see you there first. And I didn't. So actually, I was asked, and they were kind enough. They asked me if I wanted anything, and I said a chocolate milk while I was talking with them. And so Dawn went and poured a little carton of chocolate milk for me. And I had that, and it was just nice talking with them. It's an important investment that we make in our senior programs.
I mean, it's important for a number of reasons. One is, seniors get a balanced meal, during that time. But it's also the social factor.
Yes.
Like for my mom, who lives alone, she lives up in Minneapolis, but if if, you know, if she had something like that to go to, that's that social interaction that I think is almost as more
Equally as
important.
or more.
Yeah, than the food, so.
It is.
I would agree.
It is. But that's a program that's important, and I've received some good positive feedback, so
Good.
I was glad to hear that. Okay, Paul, I'm going to move on to the library board.
We postponed our library board meeting. We will be holding it tomorrow. That was the day that it was snowing and very cold, and so, yeah, we decided to reschedule.
All right. Anything for Paula? All right. Public Works update. This goes to you, Lisa, I guess.
Tasks accomplished, obviously, snowstorm preparation and snow removal. They did go out and give notices for private sidewalks that weren't taken care of. All of them were taken care of after the notices were given. They've disposed of cleaning out the shop, waste oil, old paint, light bulbs, chemicals, brass, aluminum, to different, the metals we were able to turn in to get money, using Clean Sweep and so forth for the rest. Met with Public Works Committee about possible new location for the welcome sign. They've been working with the library on their water heater. They think they got it fixed today. So hopefully, so.
It's a library?
Hmm?
The library?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's been an ongoing.
Yeah, so they replaced some parts and flushed it, and Tree Works did trim a large basswood tree in Vets Park. They did check it was not the rare tree. They cut down 2 more trees, dead trees over at Well 3 that needed to be cleaned up after the construction. Annual service of mowers, getting ready for spring. HVAC over in the ladies' restroom at Westside Park. There were some issues. They fixed that. Continuing cleaning and organizing at the shop. They did replace burnt out light bulbs over at in the street lights over by the old Quick Trip. So I know that dark corner has been talked about, but they did update and replace dead light bulbs over there. Tasks to be done. They will continue the permitting processes, working with DOT, the counties on the Welcome to Cambridge signs. They've reached out to DOT to mark the right-of-way of this new sign to see if this will work, the new location. As the weather's getting nicer now, they will continue evaluating the sidewalks and compiling the priority list, servicing the equipment, the controlled burns of retention ponds as weather allows. Been meeting with Lee Recreation. We have one layout for LBK Park. We should be getting another layout today. Then they'll go over there with Lee, kind of mark out where, so that we can start planning more, and we'll schedule another Public Works meeting once we have that. The 2009 Chevy plow truck had a transmission leak. They just got the parts to fix that. Parts on order to fix the 1996 Mule. They are ordering the new street sign for Center Court. We got a sample, I could have brought it down, for the carpet for in here. They're bringing over the excess paint that we have from the well to see if it will match. If so, we'd be able to paint the room before the carpeting comes in.
Who's going to do the painting?
Our staff would.
Our staff?
Mhm.
Do we have a scheduled date for the carpet, or?
It's on order,
order.
so we do not have a date yet.
Nice.
Are they going to pull up these tiles to
Yes.
do that? Okay. Okay. Any other questions for Lisa, Public Works?
The LBK Park
Mhm.
piece, I know the public is very interested in making sure
Mhm.
they can look at them or have input.
Mhm.
At what point in this do you think that would be?
I think at the next Public Works meeting,
Okay,
once we get the plans, we'll have it at the Public Works meeting. Public can have input and,
okay, great, thank you.
Okay, village office updates, Lisa.
I'll kind of cover for both Lucy and I. Election went well. We had just under 20% turnout, so for this election was a good turnout. So working on closing out that election already, working on the April election. Notices have I had to go out, ballot ordering. Absentee ballots will probably be sent out before our next meeting already. So Lucy's been working on the audit prep. I think she's got a note on her door, 20 days until the audit starts. So we'll be, she's working on that. The bank reconciliations and so forth that were completed last year. Tax settlements with the other taxing jurisdictions went out. I know she had forwarded you the tax settlements. Working with developers, MSAM projects, a number of which had been talked about at Public Works. The streets are on this agenda, so Bill will give us some updates on that. The developers that had come before Plan Commission are still interested in moving forward. They're working on their plans and checking things out. We did close out the Scott Farms subdivision, their letter of credit. I said the flooring for the Amundsen Center has been ordered, so waiting for an install date on that.
Okay. Questions? All right, thank you. Let's move right into bills.
The first bill run was in the amount of $147,385.09. Second bill run in the amount of $11,003.73 for a total of $158,388.82.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $158,000, $158,388.82. Third time.
I'll second.
Okay. Do you have any questions regarding bills? Anything in here that, you know?
Couple
Piqued
loan
your
payments
curiosity.
and bond payments, that was the bulk of it.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second, and roll call, please.
Trustee Franklin, Blackwood,
Yes.
Hollenbeck,
Yes.
Krakow,
Yes.
Reinig,
Yes.
McNally.
Yes. Before we move on, Lisa, you and I had talked about the $200,000 loan that we have
Yep.
with the bank.
And, oh yeah, I thought I had that in Lucy's report. We did pay off the short-term loan. So we did have the paperwork. There was total of $5,217.71 interest, but it has been paid off now, so.
All right.
Thanks for taking care of that so quick.
Yep.
Hmm?
Okay, so that's been done here. Good. Let's move on then. You don't have anything else that you want to talk about for Lucy, do you?
No.
Okay. New business, discussion and possible action regarding approval of the Van Oort for well number 2 generator project. Recommendation from Water and Sewer.
So well number 2, we're looking at putting in a backup generator for well number 2. It's for, safety purposes to make sure that we're covered there. We got a number of bids. The Water and Sewer Committee unanimously agreed to, as was recommended by MSA, to go with the Van Oertel bid. It was the lowest bid and pretty good chunk lowest bid, but also they're the people that we've worked with for well number 3. And I specifically asked Derek how he felt they were to work with. He says they've had a really great working relationship, very comfortable working with them. If there are concerns, they address them. So that is why the committee made the recommendation.
Correct me if I'm wrong, we have a grant for this generator, don't we? Yeah, for this project, there's a grant that Water and Sewer has.
You know how much that grant is? Roughly?
Offhand, I don't know, but we do have grant money toward the generator,
Okay.
yeah.
Be nice to know, okay.
I want to say MSA found the grant for us.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Yeah, you were chair at the time.
Okay. All right, approval, anybody want to make a motion here on this one? Approval of the
I'll make a
generator
motion
project.
to approve the bid by Van Ertel for well number 2 generator project.
And that bid is $168,981.50. Okay, got a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Blackwood,
Yes.
Hollenbeck,
Yes.
Cracklow,
Yes.
Reinig,
Yes.
Franklin, McNally.
Yes. All right. Now we'll move on to unfinished business. We've got spring water, it says alley, but I think that's supposed to be street. We got to get
It
used to
is.
that.
It's not, we've passed the resolution, it's not formally done yet, but we're in the process of changing it.
Okay?
Yeah.
Public Works Committee, what do they want to do here?
Yep,
All right, so it's been a while since I've been in front of the board talking about Springwater Alley. I believe last year, the last time we actually talked about just doing the design on the project. I gave an update to Board of Public Works about a month ago, so I'll just give that same update. One thing that happened with the original design is that for the storm sewer, we were really just looking at the time of just doing some improvements to the storm sewer structures, the inlets. But what we found out during the design is that the outlet structure, that's probably about midway through the Springwater Alley, discharges to the south, had collapsed. That's one of the reasons that there's been a lot of issues with stormwater on that project. We actually went through some multiple attempts to try to jet that line, televise the line, and the furthest we could get is essentially to the point where the monument sign is outside of the building here. So at that point, we had a couple different options to look at, whether or not we run a new line to the same location, run it to a different location, both of which would require us to do some extensive tear up of the parking lot out here. So the third option, which was the most economical and easiest, was actually to extend the storm sewer to the west and tie into the existing storm sewer down by Spring Street. So what we ended up doing is finishing,
Water Street.
or I'm sorry, yes. So we ended up finishing that design last year, and then the project just got kind of put on hold because it was too late to bid the project. So that was the update that I provided to the Board of Public Works. I'm just looking for some direction on whether or not we're going to bid the project. We do have some updated cost estimates for the project, and they also include two alternates, which would be doing the parking lot, the diagonal parking lot by the police station, and also the additional parking lot down on the west end that was talked about paving. Right now, including a 20% contingency, doing everything came in about $176,000 to redo that street, or currently is the alley. So the project is done at this point, and it's a matter of just finishing the advertisement to bid and putting it out to bid. Talked to Lisa several times about this, just as far as what the direction, which is why we talked to the Board of Public Works. And this was also discussed at the Water and Sewer Commission. I think there was questions in both cases on what the funding was going to be, what the portions were going to be for storm sewer. So I think the intention tonight was really to just bring it in front of the board to get some direction on whether or not the board wanted to proceed with advertising for bid.
Two items that came up at Public Works. One was, would the regionalization come into effect, and it wouldn't. That will be connecting up on Spring Street at the top of the alley. The second was with the bridge being done in 2026. The discussion was kind of, we don't want that road closed and the alley or street at the same time. So if we, do we do it now? Otherwise, do we wait until 2027 to do it? So,
Chris?
My question is, we already made the motion to go from an alley to a street, but I know that there are different widths and parameters. Did you guys engineer that out to transform it from an alley to a street?
So this was actually, we had some email correspondence that went back between MSA and city staff on this, because originally the question was, can we convert it to a street so that it could then be included in LRIP dollars? There's a couple challenges with that. One is the ordinances from the village require a minimum 60-foot right-of-way and a 36-foot wide pavement. Right now, we don't have enough pavement out there, and the right-of-way, in some cases, because it was originally platted as an alley, is as low as, I believe, 24 feet in some spots. So if the village wanted to pursue actually having that, other than by name only, having it included in the certification, the annual certification with DOT, there would be some additional steps that would be necessary to do that, and that would require some land acquisition on the south side and the north side. Now, the majority of that land is city-owned, but it would extend into the parking lot to be able to get the additional right-of-way. And then on the north end, the north side, you would have some additional acquisition. When you get down to the plow, there may possibly be some conflicts with setbacks in there. So we did not pursue it any further than just providing the information to Lisa at this point. The other question is the work that would be necessary to be able to put it, get it into a street status through DOT. You're talking some fairly intensive surveying, a subdivision, or not a subdivision, but a plat of survey for the land acquisition. So there could be a diminishing return on the amount of money that you would spend to be able to have that included in your DOT funding, and whether or not that would actually rank to be able to get funding from LRIP. So we have looked into it. There is I guess there is a path forward on it. It's just whether or not you want to pursue that and the timing of that. I would say that if that was something you wanted to pursue prior to construction, that would be an effort that you'd have to do this year. You would also have to have it completed before the end of the year to be able to get it on the listing for next year, and then apply for funding. It would end up being the 27 cycle, I believe, for LRIP.
Yeah, but it would be of the highest rank because it's just been redone.
I think
You know what I mean?
and Kristen, Mark can
Well,
correct me.
yeah.
Part of the discussion at Public Works was, we can continue pursuing it, do what we need to do. In the meantime, we have other roads that could
Yeah.
qualify for
Well, yeah.
LRIP.
Yeah,
So do we?
This road wouldn't qualify for LRIP for years down the road because it would be redone and it would be
Well,
fairly new
and-
road.
Yeah.
And the
Right.
discussion
But-
at Public Works was whether or not you hold off, and I think from Public Works was whether or not you hold off until it became a street and tried to get funding,
Yeah.
which I don't know
Is
if
it
the,
worth
right,
waiting that long
So it's street and name only.
at
correct,
this point?
For now.
Yeah,
right.
So,
Yeah.
so my question, why can't we do this street the same time we do the bridge? Because there's, I can't, because we won't have people going down that half a block.
No, part of the, well, questions came up when we were discussing the bridge project that, you know, trucks that may turn accidentally have to have a way to go instead of backing back out to Main Street, or, you know, to have a second route.
Second route what? Past one block of Main Street? That's all this is
Yeah,
one block of Main
it's,
Street. I think we just put road close signs and keep people out of it.
Yeah, it's, and that's
And
why
then
we
we
brought
redo
it
the
here. It's the
road.
board's decision. Do we want to go out for bid now to do it this year or wait?
I'll tell you right now, we can't afford it this year, you guys,
No.
because we're gonna have to take out a loan for fire and EMS. So
We-
I don't see how we can take out a loan for fire and EMS and a loan for that road.
We do have approximately 120,000 in our budget for street aids that have to be used for street projects. So if it's not used for this, and we're gonna be talking about 134, that money can be used for other things, not complete road projects, but we do have 120 in the budget from road aids.
And I would say, of the budget that we have in here at 176,000, the contingency, there's a 20% contingency, which is roughly $30,000. And then the two alternates in there total $20,000 as well. So if for some reason you didn't want to pave either one of the parking lots, you could reduce the cost of the project there. So I'm just saying that,
and
I'm not recommending that or anything, I'm just saying there's options for reducing the cost of the project.
And the 176 is the total project, right?
Correct.
Because stormwater would be covering a portion of that. I think we figured that out to be about $25,000 or $30,000.
Correct.
Could be covered by water and sewer.
Yep.
Do we want to, so if we took out the two contingencies and we take in water and sewer, then all of our road aid project could improve this one road. Is that how we want to spend our road aid this year? Or are there other roads in this municipality we should be doing?
What can we hear about Lagoon Road? The next agenda item, before we make that decision? Are you
You wanna
briefing
just
that
move
as
on-
well?
You want to just move
Yeah.
into that?
Yeah.
Okay. So last year for Lagoon Road, for 134 in Lagoon, we had submitted plans back in May to DOT. DOT has had some changeover. Wendy Braun has kind of put in for her retirement, so she's kind of designated this to others. So unfortunately, the project sat for probably close to 8 months at DOT without getting any further updates. We reached out to DOT and have recently had some conversations with them, found out who's actually been assigned to the project to get comments back. We do now have comments back and some open dialogue with the reviewers. The comments that they got back are fairly minor at this point, so I would probably say that essentially, we could have the plans complete within a week. So we're virtually there on that. Now, some of the considerations for Lagoon is that funding is included in the TIF. I believe the current financial status of the TIF, there was just over $500,000.
At the end of 2023.
Yep, and that brings in roughly $95,000 per year. So that TIF is doing very well. We had talked with Lisa a little bit about this, on whether or not we wanted to proceed with that this year. The current estimate, which I thought I had, but I know it was in a previous packet, was somewhere on the order of around 500, and I believe it was 525.
Yep, 523.
523. So it would, there is adequate funds within the TIF to be able to complete the project, but it would pretty much tap the TIF out as well. One of the things we have not done is taken a look at the condition of the other TIFs. One thing about TIF law is you can use well well-performing TIDs to offset some of the funds in other ones as an option. So we have not taken a look at that. But in essence, right now, there is funds.
We
you
do
know,
have some underperforming ones.
One
Yeah, one in particular.
underperforming,
Right.
the other one is doing well, and
Mhm.
will do much better this year because the one business is complete.
Okay.
For Lagoon, is this taking Lagoon Road only as far as Whiskey Thief Road?
Correct.
Or, so what would the additional cost be to take it all the way back to the ponds?
So that was discussed at Public Works, and I have not put those numbers together because it really depends on what's entailed. But the other thing is, and Lisa just recently sent over the TIF boundary, and I need to verify because I couldn't tell on the maps on whether or not the extension of that road was included within the TIF or not. If it's not, you couldn't use those TIF dollars for the
We couldn't use the
extension.
TIF dollars for that, but we could use other dollars since it's already mobilized, since, you know.
Correct.
Right, we could just
Correct.
pay that portion separately.
That
So I
that could
think
be
it
an
would be
option.
important for us to find out what that
Yeah.
cost is.
And the bid could go out kind of like the other one with that. as
With
a
an alternate, yeah, so
alternate
then you
to
have,
add that.
yep, that's
Yep.
exactly right. That's exactly right. So, and that's the thing, like with Springwater Alley. Now, you don't, anytime you bid a project, you don't necessarily like to prospect with, contractors sometimes get upset when you decide not to move forward with a project because of the fact that you have taken the time to be able to, or they've taken the time to provide numbers, and then the project doesn't move forward. But at the end of the day, you know, this board has the authority on whether or not they want to accept bids and, you know, proceed with the project or not. So, but you're right, there is additional dollars from road aids that you could use to do some of that. So several decisions, I would say, as far as trying to figure out what to proceed with.
I think the Lagoon Road project, given all of the new construction we've got going on out at the vineyards, is a higher priority than Springwater Alley.
It's your
Springwater
guys'
Alley.
decision.
So the only thing about Springwater Alley where my question comes in is the stormwater issue bad enough that it's going to continue to degrade the road?
Based on what I'm seeing out there, yes. Because right now, the water has no way to get out. Eventually, it's infiltrating into the ground because obviously water is still getting into those inlets. But there is a surcharge in the storm sewer when you do get heavy rainfalls. And until Springwater Alley is completed, that connection for the storm sewer will continue to do that. So there will be additional maintenance that Public Works will have to continue to, probably through cold patching, to be able to stick into that, to stick into the street.
Even after the project's done?
No, I'm just saying if the project is not done.
Oh,
Yeah, once the project's complete, the storm sewer will be fixed, and you won't have an issue because part of the project is tuck pointing the existing inlets, improving drainage, all of those items. So it'll be one of the nicest streets in Cambridge once it's done.
Is any of the, when they do the bridge, is any of that equipment going to be really, really heavy? And would it be on Springwater Street, or is it going to just be on water?
Well,
DQ?
the village has some say in that too as the project moves forward. Right now, we're just in the phase of working through the real estate. But certainly, the village has the authority to be able to say that the access route, we don't want it to be on Springwater Alley or Springwater Street by that point. So there is some flexibility to be able to work with DOT on that to make sure that that's not a access route. Now, that'll obviously put more traffic out on Main Street as well, but again, something to be aware of.
I just wouldn't want to have a brand-new street, you know, with heavy, heavy trucks on because they're going to be doing that bridge.
Mhm.
I'm
And-
inclined to, I got a feeling there's more traffic on Springwater.
I think we close Springwater and we don't do it this year.
Yeah, I'd be-
And I don't see why we couldn't do Springwater and the bridge in the same year.
We talked about that quite extensively at Public Works and kind of,
So how does Public Works want to spend the $125,000?
I think we were in favor of doing, if I'm remembering this correctly, we were in favor of moving this forward to the board to complete the project just because of the storm sewer issues and things along those lines, but yes, you're right, it would take.
I mean, don't we have other roads in town that I'm sorry, and I get it's the library, but Springwater, people can avoid Springwater Alley for everything except the library. So
And
If
and
we
that's why
turn-
I'm waffling
But they-
on why we need it. Because of the traffic, especially the uptick in traffic with them extending their hours, and they're getting more traffic into the library. And if it's devolving and they're just cold patching over it, and you're basically putting a Band-Aid on a sucking chest wound, then I'm thinking that yes, it's gonna be tough, because I would like hard numbers on what stormwater is gonna cover.
we talked about it in
Yeah.
our meeting. Let me see if I can find.
I thought it was 46,000 is the number that we had.
Yeah.
I know that from the estimate, just looking at this, we
I wanna say
had,
at ours, we talked 25, 30, but then I saw in the water
There
and
was an
sewer minutes,
updated-
it was higher, it
Oh,
was
what,
closer
yeah,
to
so
40.
whatever was in the minutes, because we talked about it,
Yeah.
I think we added a couple
Yeah,
things that
I
weren't
think it was
originally on
closer
there.
to the
Correct.
45.
Okay, so,
correct.
I'll look.
I believe the number's around 45,000.
Yeah, and I see where you're coming from, Paula, with the idea of, once we do this, if there's an issue with
No.
a water main break, or if there's an issue with another road but we can take a look. We have to do the LRIP inspection. We have to put the roads.
Whistler.
Yeah, we have to put that in there, and it's a matter of whoever's the director at the time is gonna have to go to those meetings and press for that. And when they press for that, then they can get funding for those particular roads. Now, it's not gonna happen till the next year, but we've been kicking this can down the road for this particular alley for quite a while, and I think it's time that, I know I get what you're saying, because we're gonna have some issues with fire and EMS and what we're expected to pay, but
I would, I guess, I personally, but
Mhm.
I can abstain from any kind of vote. I would not be prepared to make a decision tonight on, do we use all of our dollars for Springwater Alley, if I don't know what other roads then aren't going to get done because we're doing Springwater Alley.
well, I know,
So I don't know what, like, the next priority roads were in order.
I can recall from my time on Public Works,
Allen Street. is
Allen Street,
Detroit.
your particular
Yours
street
is
is ranked up there pretty
Yeah, those
high,
are
and
the
something that
next.
Jarlsberg.
Yeah, but I'm okay if Charles
Charles-
goes back
Well,
to gravel.
I know, you
so
wanted
we're okay.
gravel.
Jarlsberg and Allen.
Those were
Street
the
are-
two, those were the two,
And
Yeah.
the discussion with LRIP,
Yeah.
those roads will be there still too.
right.
There will be
Yeah, they're
this isn't
considered a
the only
road, so
that
they
we can,
fall
or
under
the
our,
only-
yeah, unlike Blue Jay
project,
Way, when you scroll down, you'll see those particular roads fall under Cambridge, right?
Right.
Any of those can be.
So,
And
Whereas this,
Yes,
this,
people don't have to use this, but if you're here at school time,
yeah.
it's used.
Yeah.
The buses use it, everybody use it, it is used not just for library. But,
And a lot of it, I think a lot of the reason this alley is used is because when you go out, whether it's up here on Spring Street or you go out even
It's
down
hard.
on Water, number one, the buildings are right there. You have very little
And parking,
visibility. And
people who are
parking,
parked in
people
those
who
ends,
park.
you can't
Yep.
see coming out.
You know, and it's tough for the buses to turn, you know, onto Spring Street and, you know, so it's a highly used.
Now, here's some food for thought. You know what they did with Blue Jay Way? Is there a possibility of doing the same thing
A
here?
one-way?
A one-way?
Love that idea.
For traffic, I mean, it would mitigate the traffic. Is that possible? Traffic pattern, making it just a one-way?
I mean, it's certainly possible.
And then you can have a bike lane?
I mean, typically when you're changing the traffic patterns, you'd want to do some type of analysis to determine.
But it's an alley,
But it's an alley,
right?
right?
no,
It's
we-
not really a street.
Correct. Well, and I'm saying from a standpoint of
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to
Other
go in one
impact-
this
I was
way
gonna
or
say-
this way?
which direction do you want to go?
Mhm.
You know, you've got,
Yeah,
you know, you have truck deliveries that come in, so how do they typically come in? They go out, so that certainly is an option.
it would give us some more years of life on what's done on that road, though, right? If you mitigate that traffic pattern.
If you decrease the volume of traffic on it,
Right.
certainly that would mitigate any
Yeah.
street length, absolutely.
You're still gonna have issues though with the buses and, you know, that kind of stuff, because either, you know, if they can only go one way.
I say, but we don't have a problem with it one way.
Yeah, we don't have.
So they'd
to-
only be traveling it at half the amount of time.
So which way are we gonna?
I would want to go that
Yeah.
way. And I wanted to go downhill versus going uphill.
Well, the buses go to the middle school and high school, right? So they would
The
need to
buses go both directions
Yes.
on the alley.
So in the morning.
It's something we haven't looked at
Yeah.
at all,
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
could certainly.
I know it's
Which
not on
way
the
is it
agenda. I'm
easiest
just,
for
Right.
them to turn onto Main Street, from which corner? Yeah, we'd have to
Yeah,
do a study. Unlike Blue Jay,
but
where
I
there
think
was no study.
that's where I,
which that wouldn't necessarily change anything as far as, I guess in essence, it's not a striped road now.
No.
So it probably wouldn't impact anything from a construction standpoint.
Mm.
It's something you could do after the fact.
Are there different regulations for one-way to qualify as a street?
No, not in the village standards.
In the state, does it? Could it be, if it were changed to one-way in village ordinances, would it affect?
I don't think that would affect anything, but either way, what we've talked to with DOT, just as far as making that a street, by definition, it would still require a variance because, like I said, the village board right now, it doesn't meet the village's standards for right-of-way or paved width. I think that's 24-foot width, and I think the city standards right now, I think it's 36. So it doesn't meet the village's standards regardless. It's certainly something we could look into. If the village truly wanted to proceed with having that included in the village's road aid long-term.
So, sorry.
No, I was gonna say too, just to clarify, the questions before you guys tonight is, do we want to move forward with going out for bid?
Correct.
Which will cost some money to go out for bid and complete the finalized plans and so forth.
Yeah.
It's not a guarantee that we're doing the projects, get the bids, see what they cost, you know, so that's the question before you. Do we want MSA to prepare them to go out for bid?
But if,
Or do
We don't
wanna
know
wait?
for sure if we
But-
want to go one-way or two-way.
Well, that's,
That doesn't really matter right now.
If we go out for bid, are we going to go out for bid for the alley and the 2 contingencies? Or are we just going to go for the alley?
So
see.
the way that we have it laid out would be that the other 2 would be alternates, so they could be, the base bid would be the alley, and the other 2 parking would be alternates. So those could be accepted or rejected by the village after the bids are
On
turned
their
in.
own.
We
Okay.
did that so it gave you the flexibility
Okay.
of having to
So we could make,
accept or reject the entire project.
we could make the decision at that point, do we spend the full 125,000, or maybe
Correct.
it'll only be 100,000 if we don't do the 2 parking lots?
Correct.
And then we'd have 25,000 for something else in the building.
yeah. Stormwater.
45, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
okay,
I like that idea.
okay.
What does it typically cost to go out for bid?
Well, at this point, the plans and the specs are probably, I would say 99% done. We just have to finalize the rest as far as the ad for bid in there. So, at this point, we just have to create the ad for bid, place it in the paper for the 2 Class 2 notices, and then upload it onto Quest. So I mean, we're probably talking $1,000 at this point to just be able to finalize the plans and get them out to bid. We would typically do a 2-week bid on this. So I would say probably by the end of March, you'd have a pretty good handle on what the overall cost of the project would be and whether or not you want to make a decision on awarding the contract at that point.
Okay, so to do this, it's going to cost us $1,000.
I'd say max, yeah.
To go out for bid.
All right. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to go out for bid for Springwater Alley.
I'll second.
Okay, further discussion? All right, roll call, please.
So we're not actually, so the roll call is because of the $1,000 to go out for bid. It's not approving that we're going to go forward with, this is the road we're
No,
doing.
because it's coming back, the
or
bids are gonna
which
come back to
pieces.
us.
Okay, so at that point, we can say, this isn't right for 2025, and do it at another time.
Agreed.
Okay, all right, thank you for the clarification.
Lisa?
Hollenbeck,
Yes.
Rockwell,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Franklin, Blackwood,
Yes.
McNally.
Yes.
One thing I would ask Public Works, when this does come back with the bids, can you tell us what other roads in the village we wouldn't be doing if we do Springwater Alley? Because that will help me, I think that would help all of us in making sure we've got all the information we need to make the decision.
And I would also just add there that if there is other roads selected, there hasn't been any designed at this point, unless you're looking at
Yeah.
like a chip seal or something like
I
that
think
on the street.
anything
Highway
for this year, the road aid would be chip seal,
Yeah,
top, just, it wouldn't be reconstruction of any road,
Right.
because
chip
this
seal, seal
was the
coat, something like that,
priority
yeah.
up until now, and that's why the
It's
plans were
coming out of
drawn
a
out.
different pot of money
Thank you.
Yeah,
from,
Okay, so,
Understanding of roads.
all right, we're done with Springwater Straight Alley. Now we move, do we have anything further to do here with Lagoon Drive, 134?
do we want
I'll
to go out
make
for
a-
bid for that?
I'll make a motion to go out for bid for Lagoon Drive, Highway 134.
I'll second that one.
Can we include the extension of the road to
Yes.
the ponds in
Yeah,
there
what I'll do is
as an alternate?
when we finalize the plans, I'll provide that information to Lisa to be able to be brought to the board.
So then my question is, as we extend it, does it have to be a full big road? Can it just sort of pave the road that's there?
We talked about that because there was, the road isn't wide enough.
But,
correct me, how
but
we-
it
this was
is, it
discussed.
is on our Whistler.
It is, and if, as far as the treatments for that, based on the usage of that road, we'd probably just look at some type of overlay
Okay.
in there. If you start looking at pulverization or anything, you're getting into
Right.
some subgrade issues that with the amount of wetlands that are in that area, you're probably gonna run into some issues
Right.
there. and we don't want to have to do any encroachments or any issues with adjacent. So we were just looking at doing a simple overlay just to make it a paved.
Okay,
But we'll
perfect.
include that as an alternate.
All right, thank you.
Timing-wise, I would say that Springwater Alley is much closer, so we'll proceed with that, and then I'll provide an update to Lisa when we're ready to go on 134.
What would it cost on 134? I know spring water is 1,000.
Kind of early in the game right now for that one, right?
Yeah, because we do have some comments, we still have to get some approvals through DOT, and I have to verify whether or not we have anything else with Dancing Goat regarding any easements or right-of-way through there, as far as agreements.
I think when they purchased that land, and Joe will have more recollection, this was all planned when they purchased, so I think all the
Right.
their easements and stuff
Yeah.
should all be in place.
Again, all those dollars are TIF reimbursable dollars as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we'd have to take a look, but I'm guessing if the balance was at 500,000 at the end of '23, that, you're probably sitting just, what, 600,000
The second brick house will be on this year's.
on this year's.
TIF,
So there'll be
so-
additional tax increment
Yeah.
after this,
That
so.
will add tax increment.
So, but we're $5,000, something to that effect.
And it's work you're going to have to do whether we do it this year
Correct.
or 2026, so.
And that was the Public Works direction to say, let's just
Push-
finish the design so we're
Push
ready
the
to go.
DOT to get
Get to-
responses was
Exactly.
the motion.
Yeah.
Exactly. At that time, we hadn't gotten any comments back from DOT, but
Right.
we've gotten those since then, which is why Lisa wanted it on the agenda tonight, just to discuss.
Okay, so you got a motion and a second, it's going to be $5,000 to kind of
Yeah.
look at that. All right, roll call.
Frecklow,
Yes.
Reinig,
Yes.
Franklin, Blackwood,
Yes.
Hollenbeck,
Yes,
McNally.
Yes. All right.
Thank you.
great, thank you
All
so
right,
much.
thanks.
Thank you.
I'll be in touch.
Okay, moving on, 9C, Fire and EMS Commission. I know we're going to talk about this again in closed session. Chris, what can you share with us right now? We've got this first quarter invoice.
Yeah. So I heard about the invoice from, I think Lisa contacted me or said, hey, we got another $56,000. As you know, we haven't had a fire commission meeting. We haven't, there's been no agenda, there's been no meeting at all. I think a lot of the commission members were thinking that the next time we would meet was the March 6th meeting. So contrary to popular belief, I knew nothing about this. And I actually called Mr. Hahn today, the lawyer for the commission, and asked for some advice to share with my board because I know this question was going to be asked. So he believes that the president made this call. He firmly believes that the president has the right to make this call
How?
for the commission.
Did he read the IGA?
Well, go ahead.
So, but I said, well, Mike, I wasn't at any meeting. I didn't go to any meeting where this decision was made. Well, the board members should understand that, it should be no surprise to your board members that we would have to incur what Oakland was not going to pay. That was his response. And he feels like the president of the commission could make that kind of decision. He did say that he's willing to come in here and speak on my behalf because we didn't have a meeting. There was no agenda. This was not discussed. I said I was going to get some pushback from my board on that particular factor, and he said he was aware of it, but with our financial situation, the commission where it stands right now, he felt it was well within the president's right to act as opposed to not act. So that is why he directed the lady in Ohio,
Bookkeeper?
bookkeeper in Ohio, to send out these invoices. And I believe ours was around $56,000.
Was there any explanation of they need money for X, Y, Z, or this is just going out because?
I believe, I didn't get it from Mr. Hahn, but I believe it has to do with, there was an email on the original invoice that we got. You're gonna get the 2023, charge the 2023 amount, and
Yeah,
you
I've
probably
got
will.
3 different invoices. The
Okay.
first one was, here's your same amount you've been paying.
Mhm.
The second one was, you'll get a new invoice once a new budget is created.
Mm.
And then the third one was this one saying, oh, you all have to,
But we haven't
Cover.
had that new budget.
I was gonna say, we
Yeah.
don't have a budget,
No.
so my question would be, yes, I know they're basing it off of the 2023 numbers, but if we don't have a budget,
Yeah.
and the services aren't the same.
The services aren't the
As-
same,
All
right?
they
Right.
What
did
was
was take
2023?
Oakland out, take the number, divide it, and say, here's
Correct.
all they did, and there's nothing to go, right? That's what I was,
Correct.
that's what I just wanted to ask.
And that's precisely why, you know, Rockdale punted,
Tabled it.
they tabled theirs, and that would be my suggestion.
I was
for-
curious, did Lake Mills act on this before we even got our invoice?
Lake, yes, because Lake Mills brought it up at their February 11th meeting, where it was discussed, and Mr. Schrader said that the rest of the municipalities
Oh, yeah.
will be getting their invoices later this week.
That is exactly, now that my mind
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
because I got a call from a constituent saying, have you seen this video from Lake Mills? You
Yep.
need to watch this video from Lake Mills. Surprise, surprise, so
Yeah.
that's how I found out first.
Yeah,
and
but
then-
we,
yeah.
and you, I think you asked me, and I'm like, we haven't gotten anything.
Right.
And then a couple days later, we
So,
got the invoice.
And this date, they have a due date on this of the first,
Yeah. They have due date upon receipt.
that's what I was at.
but the IGA says 60 days, right?
I think we have to, yeah, so go ahead.
Oh, no, that's right, I was just gonna agree, but
I think we have to hold their feet to the fire of giving us a decent budget, because almost half of the coverage area is no longer needed to be covered. So why are the costs exactly the same?
Well, that's a good question.
And we don't have a paramedic service anymore, it seems.
Correct.
Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't.
So there is a public record email on this from Mr. Hahn that I could share some of the points because, and this was shared in the context of the arbitration / mediation that's going on at the same time on the, first it was to deal with the previous year's budget, but now maybe it has to include this year's budget. So Mr.
Yes.
Hahn did send an email to the municipalities, you know, when the arbitrator asked to have a meeting and discuss what we're going to talk about next. He made the point saying, look, when Oakland withdrew, that didn't decrease our costs at all. We still have to, you know, we have the same costs now. We just have to ask the municipalities to either approve or reject, so we know what we're dealing with going forward. We have a collective bargaining agreement with our local 311 unit. That contract does not expire until the end of the year, and we cannot simply switch bargaining units. And then the other point he made, not all of our equipment is compatible with Deer Grove, so even if we would go with Deer Grove, there may be additional costs to upgrade or switch out some of the equipment. So his point is the commission is open to negotiations about the Deer Grove prospect, but that should be on a separate track than the budget.
So where is he getting his instruction from? Because Chris, has the fire commission given Hahn those instructions from a fire commission perspective, or is it just one person?
I believe it must be just one person.
How can they do that?
Yeah, it doesn't sound like this is necessarily the commission's position.
So it's Mr. Hahn's position and
Mr.
And
Schrader's,
Schrader's.
likely,
Schroeder.
Mr. Schrader's position.
Schrader's position.
You know, and it's interesting because he's, and the reason I'm assuming it's Mr. Schrader's position is because he's actually, that email has quoted Mr. Schrader's statements, because in their meeting on the 11th, he discussed, that Mr. Schrader discussed that the Deer Grove proposal is not really competitive. We would have to replace equipment. The big item that they're talking about is the Zoll heart monitor. The reason Deer Grove would want to change it out is to make sure that all of their equipment would be standard across the board. One of the things that Mr. Schrader is not putting forth is that our Philips heart monitor that we have on our ambulance, there is a resale value on that.
Right.
So it's not just a clear-cut line of, we have to pay $45,000 to replace this heart monitor. And I will say too, in the Lake Mills meeting, Mr. Schrader said that there likely will not be any budget reached in March, and it most likely will go to arbitration. So it doesn't even sound like he's willing to discuss a budget.
Shouldn't they be acting in good faith and trying to give us what we need?
I mean, that's been our position throughout the course of the arbitration and the mediation on the previous budgets, that, look, we don't have a meeting of the minds here. We have to talk this through to get to a place that makes sense.
And the last 4 municipality meeting, I went out of there feeling really positive,
I did too.
and now I'm feeling like people just lied.
What bothered me was that was 5 days before
Right.
Lake Mills acted on
Acted
this.
on
So
this.
why wasn't this brought up when all
Right.
municipalities were together?
The other thing that in
Have
this,
you been in talks with Dave Schrader?
Yeah, I did. I called him when I heard about all this, and I expressed my,
I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, you're
no, my strong concerns as to how this could happen. And he said, I know that, I know you were going to be upset, you'd be concerned about it, and that was about all that we got. This is just a mess. I don't know where we go with this tonight. I don't think we're going to approve it. We're going to be, once again, the bastard children because we're not paying, but,
no, because Rockdale didn't pay either.
okay, good.
Rockdale tabled it until, and sorry, Mark, I don't want to cut you off, but Rockdale's position, as was stated at their board meeting, was that one of their board members brought up the fact that they did not feel that this was, this decision was made per the IGA, and that if we're going to be following, we have set forth that we're going to follow the IGA. Therefore, there was no meeting, there was no discussion, so 4 of their 5 members agreed.
One option is to give some direction to me and Karen, who will be participating in the March 3rd call among the municipalities. The arbitrator has asked to pull us all together to get a position. It could include this issue.
One of the things too that Mr. Hahn brings up is that, we have a contract and we just can't go with another bargaining unit. Deer Grove and our service are both Local 311. That is the exact same union. That is the same bargaining union. And I
He will
believe-
argue that it's 2 different contracts.
It technically, yes, I agree.
Yes.
But it
we've
was
argued-
my understanding that we have negotiated into the current labor contract
Yes.
contingencies if
Yes.
there is a dissolution of service or
60
something.
days. Yeah.
So we can disillusion the services with a
And you
60-day
spoke to that
notice.
with the 4 municipalities.
We were sitting in
So-
the 4 municipalities. I remember what is really everybody's what is the deer?
What is the hang up?
And there was a little bit with the right, a little bit of a this, but we could get this. What I mean, you're talking about little scraps of issues.
Yeah.
And so I thought everybody was like, that sounds like good.
So
We're going to
did
get
I.
that back. We're going to get a budget. To me, when we just get a bill when we're so close to meeting with no reason of We need, you know what I mean, like anything, just here's a bill, you know, that's.
That's been the
That's been the norm.
norm.
And I think my concern with that too is how, so what if this number is an overestimate? Are we getting a refund from the commission? Are we getting a credit for the next? Are they just gonna keep billing us additional funds without actually knowing what our portion truly costs?
Yeah, there's a whole lot of things that you can look at into this. Is it, you know, if you go back and it's an easy number, right? It's the 2023 number, and it's what Oakland had to pay. But look at the staff in 2023. Look at the staff of the EMS in 2023. They had a director. They had an assistant director. They had, you know, it's in there. It just doesn't add
They're
up.
operating like that same
Right.
budget, they're gonna rehire, it just seems status quo.
Right, and right now they're sitting at what, maybe, I know there's
I'm gonna,
5 union members,
yeah, and I'm in from
No.
rosters and things that we were
maybe
supplied
8
with.
total, if
Um,
even.
I think at most we have 2 to 3 paramedics, which
Right.
is not enough to actually run the service.
And that's frightening,
Don't,
actually.
we have a meeting here, right, on March 6th,
Next Thursday,
a week from this
a week.
Thursday. We can sit here and talk about this all night long. I don't know if we're gonna do anything with this $56,000. I don't see anybody making
But-
a motion in a second.
But I think it's good for us to talk about these things so that our constituencies can understand the types of dilemmas that we have, Mark.
Yeah,
It's important for them to hear this information.
And it's
I
not
get
for
that.
lack
And I
of
don't-
trying.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, what bothers me, number one, the money. Number two, you're not bought in. There's a budget going on, or there's numbers, or there's historicals, which we still haven't seen. There's a budget that they're relying upon, and now it's just, well, we're gonna pick up what another, municipality is no longer paying. That is, I don't know how you do that. That should be the 4 of you. Now, if you were there and you got outvoted, that's something else, but if, they didn't
I wasn't
have it.
even there.
Yeah,
It wasn't even a meeting.
yeah, that is problematic.
And don't you think that I would be an advocate for Cambridge since we are now paying the lion's share
I mean,
of
we
this?
are not,
Yes.
we are the new Oakland,
Right.
and we
I
are
get
in
it.
the exact same position that Oakland was in, and it's the exact same position that they pulled out of.
And
Okay.
whenever those meetings happen, much to the chagrin of Lisa, I'm usually calling her, hey, I know it's late, I know it's 10 o'clock at night, but this meeting just ended, and here's where we sit. There hasn't been anything. It's been crickets.
All right. Does anybody want to
I
make a
would-
motion to pay this invoice, or do we want to hold on it?
I would make a motion to table it at this point in time. I don't know if we need a motion to do that, but
Is it on the
Yeah.
agenda for the 4 municipality meeting?
I
coming
have
up?
not created the agenda yet, so we could put
I
it
would
on the
add that.
agenda,
Wow,
I would
this
ask that
should
to be
on the
added.
agenda.
as well as the
There
Deer
we-
Grove proposal, and
I think I suggested a
EMS is
couple
supposed to be.
Actionable items.
actionable items.
Yeah.
One of the things, and I will say, and I was actually asked to bring this back from the Rockdale meeting, was that their position, and it was Sarah Helgerson and Joe Lito and Bria Klemp and Sam, and I
Sam.
can't think of Sam's last name.
Hello,
Their ask was that we have actionable items on this agenda. One of them, which Lisa, I think I sent to you, was they are asking to have the discussion on change of service, as far as whether that should be or if it's interpreted as a unanimous vote versus a majority vote. One lawyer says one thing, one lawyer says another thing, so that was something that they wanted to, that was one specific item that they asked for me to take back to our administrator, so to get put on the agenda and have it
Change
as
of service.
actionable item.
All right. You still have your motion here to table this?
Yes,
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor of
oh,
table?
wait, I just have one thing. So we're tabling this, are we tabling this until we get a budget from them?
oh,
To
that should
discuss
be,
A
next
workable
week, or-
budget?
I guess I would say I would,
Because we can't just say we're still going to 2023. how in the world can we operate on a 2-year-old budget?
I mean, theoretically, we are operating under 2023. That's the way the IGA reads, is that it reverts back to
How can the
2023.
commission think that's acceptable?
Oh, you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
But
That
yes,
is
Sure.
the subject before the arbitrator.
Before the
now,
arbitrator.
So can we
mediator
get this
now.
arbitration moving faster?
I mean,
Because-
yes, this could be our position in the meeting on Monday to, again, request this.
So
We're getting billed.
the attorneys are meeting with the arbitrator next week. So that's part of the reason we have a closed session too, so we can discuss and
Okay.
give Jane direction.
Mhm.
All right, so that was my only,
All right. We got a motion and a second to table the additional first quarter invoice.
Could say until we get more information at the meeting on the 6th, because that could be a budget, that could be Deer Grove, that could be,
Okay, I'm
Yep.
comfortable with adding
would be
until we
okay.
obtain more information.
All right. Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carries. All right, is there anything else, Chris? And then we've got the meeting here March 6th at 6 PM. Here.
And how are we proposing agenda items for that? We Send them straight to Lisa?
yep,
Yeah.
straight to Lisa.
All right.
And there will be a meeting of the Cambridge, the Village of Cambridge also noticed in case
Yes.
you wanted to take action
Yes.
items
Yes.
that night.
yes.
And I
Okay.
Are we, how do we do this? Are we asking for other boards to have, can we ask to have other boards to have quorums to make, or is that there?
It's their prerogative.
How I have sent it out in the past is saying, we are posting this, please post it. Some opt to post it, some opt not to post it, to have a quorum,
Okay,
so.
okay.
It's, if they decide to post it or not is their decisions,
Excellent.
but we can't mandate them to.
Okay, moving on. Item 10, correspondence. I do not see any.
No, one thing did come today that obviously I didn't have time to put in, and we can talk about it more, but coming out of that meeting with the 4 municipalities, Deer Grove EMS did deliver a letter canceling the agreement from 2021 on the day-to-day coverage.
Oh, great.
That's
So
fair.
they did deliver it to President Schrader, but they also provided me a copy. So
That's
that,
fair.
that contract is no longer valid.
As of what date?
As of after March 27th, 2025.
It's still been a month.
Yeah, we still got
Okay,
a month at $1,000 a day.
all right.
We're gonna need those paramedics. too.
Questions, referrals to staff, future agenda items. We've got bike trail invoices and a
And
contract.
we're working on that
Great.
in with the audit stuff, so.
Yeah, contract list for audit and finance. What is that? I mean, we putting this back
That's
out?
where I
Yeah.
asked them to pull together all of the contracts that we have, so that we're paying against or that we're receiving in, so that we can have an understanding of what the lifetime of those are and what those payments are. So when we look at the budget year to year, we know which numbers we cannot change.
Okay.
Helps with our long-range,
Yes.
5-year, 10-year plan as well.
I also think that, I know she's not here tonight, Lucy is on the right track about these accounts, and for what it is. I mean, we've kind of, we used to have, I don't know, one time, didn't we have like 15 different accounts or?
We had a lot of different
7?
accounts. Library checks, water and sewer checks, village checks were all cut from separate accounts.
Yeah.
They're now all in the general.
Yeah, and I think that there probably should be about 4 or 5 accounts that are major. And then, you can still commingle all the minor accounts. I realize that there's going to be reconciliations, but water and sewer probably should have its own account.
Yeah, she mentioned some things during the water and sewer meeting on recommendations that she's going to be bringing forward. That just might be some changes
And
for
as
us
we
on
talk
that,
with
so.
the auditor,
Yep.
Good.
we'll
Good.
All right.
kind of funnel through.
Okay, upcoming meetings, February 26th, we've got a library board. The 6th is the 4 municipalities that comprise our Fire and EMS Commission. March 10th is the Plan Commission. March 11th, Joint Law Enforcement, as well as the Village Board.
And economic development. I
Thank you,
forgot to
Lisa. I
have
was
that
gonna
in there.
ask why that wasn't on
Yes,
there.
we
Thank you.
had to move it
I saw
because
you
of the
moved it to
meeting
the
of
board.
before,
All right,
so,
thank you.
yeah,
So
Mark.
what day is economic?
the 11th.
Oh, the 11th as well?
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna be a busy boy.
Yeah. March 12th is the Library Board, and the 18th is Water and Sewer, and then March 25th is Village Board with an election on April 1st. That takes us up to item 13. Anybody want to help me on this one, please?
I'll make a motion to convene to closed session per 19.85 1 Echo, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, and 19.851 Golf, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body in respect to litigation in which it is or likely to become involved. Fire and EMS Commission.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Reinig,
Yes.
Franklin, Blackwood,
Yes.
Hollenbeck,
Yes.
Frecklaw,
Yes.
McNally.
Yes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go into closed session. Thank you for